Sounds good.
And we're there.
All right, I think we're good to go.
Thank you, Connor. Good afternoon. I'm Jordan Maynard, currently serving as interim chair of the Gaming Commission. Before we begin today's hearing, I would like to turn it over to Councillor Grossman and his team to lay the groundwork for the hearing today. Councillor Grossman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, commissioners and all. Just by way of update, of course, as many already know, yesterday the governor signed the state budget into law. The bill is known as H 4800. It included several outside sections that are directly relevant to the matter before the commission today. Namely, sections 44 through 47 and 137 through 140 amend the law governing the manner in which the service of alcoholic beverages is licensed and overseen at the state's 3 casinos. Having consulted with our partners at the ABCC, I can tell you that we are collectively on the same page as to what this all means at the moment. We've historically enjoyed a tremendously collaborative relationship with our colleagues at the ABCC, and that partnership remains on full display today. There were 2 threshold issues that we wanted to take a look at when the language in the budget became enacted. The first is whether this new language voids the commission's existing licenses in any way. And the second is, when does the language in the budget become effective? So I'd like to just answer both of those questions and then briefly talk about what the new language does. So first, there is no language that expressly voids the commission's gaming beverage licenses. The gaming beverage license, which of course is the license under which the Gaming Commission was authorized to license the operators for the service of alcoholic beverages in the gaming establishments, is described in section 26 of chapter 23K. While that section was amended in a manner that I'll describe for you shortly, the new law does not expressly remove the Gaming Commission's authority to issue such a license to the operators. It simply authorizes the ABCC to issue certain licenses if they choose to do so. And secondly, it's important just to note that typically laws become effective 90 days after their enactment. Unless there's an emergency preamble, of course, which is the case here. So the other thing then to check is whether there's any language in the bill that would delay the implementation of such language, and there is not. Which means, in our case, the subject language became effective immediately as of yesterday when the budget was signed. So what does it all say? Well, there's a couple things I'll just touch on really briefly. But needless to say, there is more work that we'll have to do as a commission and as a partner to the ABCC to work through all of the new language. But the first thing to understand is that the new law creates 2 new categories of operator licenses. The first is called the Gaming Establishment Contract Vendor, and the second is called the Gaming Establishment Self-Owned Vendor. The law also then created corresponding licenses for each of those entities, which would be awarded and overseen by the ABCC. Between the 2 categories, they seem to include the service of alcoholic beverages everywhere in the casinos, except any area that, quote, serves alcohol in a gaming area to patrons who are actively participated in gambling, unquote. So alternatively stated, what that means is that the Gaming Commission will still oversee the service of alcoholic beverages to patrons who are playing at slot machines and table games, but possibly nowhere else. The second thing to understand is the disciplinary process that is discussed in the new law, or what we refer to as civil administrative penalties. So it's important to note that for certain violations of the governing laws and regulations, authority to impose civil administrative penalties was clearly transferred to the ABCC, and that is effective immediately. So that includes violations of Chapter 138 of the general law, including Section 34, which pertains to the sale or delivery of alcoholic beverages to someone who is under 21 years of age. It includes violations of Section 34C, which pertains to possession of alcoholic beverages by someone under 21 years of age. And it includes Section 69 of Chapter 138, which pertains to the sale of alcoholic beverages to an intoxicated person. The commission, the Gaming Commission that is, would seemingly retain authority over other violations, including things like the happy hour type laws, which pertain to the sale of more than 2 drinks to one patron, for example, or something like the maintenance of drink prices for set periods of time. So we will have to revisit our regulatory construct and amend the regulations consistent with the new law, all in time. Similarly, the ABCC will have to consider its next steps. In the interim, though, it's my opinion that the gaming beverage license issued by the Gaming Commission under Section 26 of Chapter 23K remains in full effect unless and until the ABCC takes some action to implement these new provisions, at which time our license, the Gaming Commission's gaming beverage license, will likely have to be modified. As of today, though, and for purposes of this hearing, I would recommend that we move forward with this renewal as it has been scheduled, and it will be remain effective as I just described. So that's a brief overview of the new law. Of course, we'll talk about it further in the future. But again, as of today, I would recommend just moving forward as planned. So let me stop there, Mr. Chair and commissioners. Happy to take any questions I may be able to address at this junction.
Thank you, Councilor Grossman. I will note, this was all set in preparation of the hearing today, understanding we're going to have further meetings in the future, and those will be marked up properly. Commissioner Hill, Commissioner Skinner, any questions for Councilor Grossman about moving forward today?
No questions, Chair.
No questions.
All right, thank you. So are we good to move forward, Councilor Grossman?
Yes, I think you're clear to proceed.
With that, today is Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. This is an adjudicatory hearing before the Massachusetts Gaming Commission relative to the renewal of a gaming beverage license issued to Blue Tarp Redevelopment, LLC, doing business as MGM Springfield. As stated earlier, my name is Jordan Maynard, and I am the interim chair of the Gaming Commission. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Commissioner Brad Hill and Commissioner Skinner. Commissioner O'Brien was unavailable. The Commission will preside over the hearing and decision of this matter. This hearing is convened pursuant to 205 CMR 101.01, paragraph 2, subsection J, and will be conducted in accordance with 205 CMR 101.01, the informal fair hearing rules outlined in 801 CMR 1.02 and Chapter 30A of the General Laws. I would also like to notify everyone that this proceeding is being recorded. We're also being streamed. A notice of hearing dated June 17, 2024 was issued in the matter to the parties. Therein, it identifies the issues that this hearing is intended to address. The Commission has indicated that it will be specifically considering the issues discussed in the gaming beverage license application pursuant to its authority under General Law, Chapter 23K, Section 26, but also what is contemplated in 205 CMR 136.04, subsection 1, relative to the gaming beverage license application, its form, and its renewal. To that end, this cited regulation sets out the specific considerations of the Commission in deciding in this matter. They include the following: whether the application meets all the requirements of 205 CMR 136.00 in General Law, Chapter 23K, Section 26, and contains at least the following information: the gaming licensee name and contact information, proof of insurance in accordance with 205 CMR 136.07, subsection 1, a licensed area application form as specified in 205 CMR 136.04, subsection 2, for each area of the gaming establishment in which the gaming licensee seeks to sell or distribute alcoholic beverages, and a description of the parts of the premises of the gaming establishment in which the consumption of alcoholic beverages will not be allowed for purposes of ensuring the integrity of gaming, the public health, welfare, or safety, or other reason. And whether issuance of the license would in some way compromise the integrity of gaming and or public health, welfare, or safety, is articulated in 205 CMR 136.03, subsection 4. There are two parties before us today. I will ask that Mr. Kim and Ms. O'Brien each please identify yourself and your teams and advise the commission as to whom you represent as applicable. Let's start with Ms. O'Brien. Good morning. Or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Kara O'Brien, and I am the Chief of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission's Division of Licensing. I'm joined today by Dave McKay, Manager of the Licensing Division, Burke Kane, the Chief of the Gaming Agents Division, Angela Smith, Casino Regulatory Manager for MGM Springfield, Dave McKay, Manager of the Licensing Division, if I didn't say that already, and Kathleen Kramer, Interim Chief Enforcement Counsel and Assistant Director of the IEB. I represent the Division of Licensing and IEB.
I will say Dave McKay is worth repeating twice. So.
Absolutely.
All right. With that, thank you, Kara. With that, Mr. Kim.
Good afternoon, Chair. Thank you very much. My name is Augustine Kim. I'm Vice President and Legal Counsel for MGM Springfield. With me today is my partner and friend, who you know very well, Dan Miller, our Director of Compliance. And also with me today is appearing before the commissioners for the first time is Andre Gomez, our Executive Director of Hospitality. Although Andre is new to the role that he currently occupies, he's not new to Springfield, MGM Springfield. He was formerly a team member here before he moved on to bigger and better things with our other MGM properties in Detroit and in National Harbor. And he's made his triumphant return back to his hometown of Springfield to become our Executive Director of Hospitality. So I welcome Andre to the team, and I look forward to having him address the commissioners for the first time here today. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kim, and Andre, you're welcomed home to the Commonwealth. So, thank you all. At the conclusion of my opening comments, this proceeding will commence with opening remarks. Each party will be offered an opportunity to make a statement, though it's not required. After opening statements, we will move to the presentation of evidence in this matter. The IEB will be called upon to present its findings and recommendation to the Commission. Pursuant to 205 CMR 136.03, subsection 3, any commissioner may ask a question of anyone presenting information at any point during or following the presentation. At the conclusion of the IEB's presentation, the licensee will be afforded an opportunity to ask questions of any individual who presented information on behalf of the IEB relative to any matter addressed in the application, memo, or to which they spoke. At the conclusion of the IEB's presentation, the licensee will be given the same opportunity to make a presentation. They may call any witnesses and present any other evidence they desire. As before, any commissioner may ask any question of any witness or presenter at any time during or after any presentation, and the IEB may ask any clarifying questions of any presenter at the conclusion of the MGM presentation, respectively. Either party may raise any objection it desires at any time. However, the basis for all objections must be clearly stated. Finally, at the conclusion of the presentations of all the evidence, the IEB and licensee will be provided an opportunity to make closing remarks, summing up their view of the evidence. Before we begin, I understand that there are a number of exhibits for consideration at this hearing that have been exchanged by the parties in advance. Those exhibits are as follows. Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing. Exhibit 2 will be the memo drafted by the IEB and Licensing Division to the Commission discussing the gaming beverage application, their findings and recommendation dated July 30th, 2024. And Exhibit 3 will be the gaming beverage license renewal application submitted by the licensees dated June 5th, 2024. Are there any objections to these exhibits being marked and entered into evidence?
No objection.
No objections, Chair.
Thank you. These exhibits shall be admitted into evidence. For purposes of ensuring a clean record, I ask that the parties, when possible, please refer to these aforementioned exhibits by letter when referring to any of these documents. If either party would like to have any additional documents entered into evidence during the course of the hearing, please ensure that they are properly introduced and marked for the record. The Commission anticipates that its inquiry at this proceeding will be related to the matters addressed in the gaming beverage license renewal application and contained in the notice of hearing. In the event that a line of questioning conducted by the Commission moves into an area that has not been included in the report or notice, but that is material to the final determination of this matter, any party may request a recess in the proceeding in order to review the issue. The Commission will deliberate privately and make a final decision at the conclusion of the evidentiary portion of the hearing. The decision will be issued as promptly as possible. If at any point during the Commission's deliberations, it determines that further testimonial or documentary evidence is desirable, it reserves the right to ask the appropriate party to provide such evidence prior to a final decision being made. We will now swear all the witnesses in. Counsel, are all the individuals you anticipate presenting testimony in this matter present on this call?
Yes.
Yes, for Blue Tarp as well, Chair.
All right, thank you. If there's anyone who is not present who will later testify, it will be up to you to alert the Commission through me that they have yet to be placed under oath. Anyone who will be testifying at this proceeding, please raise your right hand. We'll take just a second. I'm going to make sure all the hands are up. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will provide before the Commission at this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do.
Thank you all. For the record, you all have responded in the affirmative. A proceeding of this nature necessarily requires the consideration of a wide variety of information that takes several forms. In this case, some of the information and documentation may include commercially sensitive information, the public discussion of which information may place an entity at a competitive disadvantage if such information were to be publicly discussed. For the Commission to be able to execute its legal obligations effectively and diligently prior to making a final finding, it must be at liberty to fully inquire relative to any of these sensitive matters without compromising the individuals or entities involved. To do so otherwise would be at a minimum unfair and potentially unlawful. Accordingly, my colleagues and I may elect to exercise the discretion afforded in accordance with 205 CMR 101.01, paragraph 7, to close this proceeding to the public to fully address certain matters. Before we begin, it's my understanding that a pre-hearing conference was conducted on July 9th, 2024, with representatives of the applicant, the IEB, and our Deputy General Counsel, at which procedural and evidentiary issues were discussed. Do either of the parties have any preliminary issues or objections they would like to raise?
We do not.
We also do not, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. With that, I ask that representatives from MGM to please proceed with any opening remarks you would like to make.
Thank you, Chair. We waived the right to an opening remark, but we of course reserve the right to a closing remark. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank you, Chair, as well as Commissioners Hill and Skinner for taking this time to have this hearing with us. Also, thank you to Councilor Grossman for an explanation of the recently passed legislature. Of course, at MGM, we are recently aware of it as well. And so there's a lot to unpack there. So what Councilor Grossman has laid out here certainly is very helpful in our ability to understand and what may be coming down the pike. So thanks for that, Councilor Grossman. And of course, thanks to the licensing division and the IAB for a thorough work on the review and the inspection. And we really appreciate all the hard work that the team, both the IAB and the licensing division has done on this matter. So with that, I turn it over to Kara. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kim. So Ms. O'Brien, we will turn to you to make any introductory remarks you would like to make, and then you can move directly into your presentation by the IAB and licensing.
Thank you. So the licensing division has completed its review of MGM Springfield's renewal application of their beverage license. While Dave McKay will provide greater details at a high level, this includes reviewing the application for compliance with Massachusetts General Laws Section 23K and 205 CMR 136, a review of MGM's compliance history in regards to its beverage licensing over the past 3 years, and a walkthrough inspection which was performed on July 15th by myself, Licensing Manager McKay, Chief Kane, Casino Compliance Coordinator Dave Diorio, Gaming Agent Natalia Villarreal, and Licensing Intake Officer Lisa Bruckner. We appreciate the assistance of the Gaming Agents Division, Intake Officer Bruckner, and MGM Springfield in this collaborative process. With that, I will turn it over to Licensing Manager Dave McKay for a presentation on the review conducted in preparation for the hearing.
Thank you, Kara, and good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. As Kara just mentioned, we're here to discuss MGM Springfield's application for a renewal of its gaming beverage license. The 3-year term of its current beverage renewal period is set to expire on August 15th of this year. Additionally, the licensee seeks to change the beverage manager on its beverage license to Mr. Andres Gomez, Executive Director of Hospitality, who is also before you here today. MGM has submitted the $15,000 fee for its renewal application. Further, the application materials before you, as denoted by Exhibit 3, consisted of the main renewal application, an application for each licensed area, and the change of manager application form. The Division of Licensing requested some additional clarifications as part of its review process, and MGM responded thoroughly and timely and has submitted a complete application packet. There are 26 licensed areas which are listed out for you within the beverage renewal memo, Exhibit 2. However, the master beverage license itself is issued to MGM as the licensee. The license area is a defined term within the regulations. It refers to an area where the sale, distribution, or storage of alcoholic beverages to be consumed on the premises of the gaming establishment is permitted under the license approved by the Commission. 2 of those licensed areas are specifically leased to vendors. These are Regal Cinema and Wahlburger Springfield LLC, each of which is properly registered as a non-gaming vendor with the Commission and currently in good standing. As previously mentioned, one individual is designated as the manager for the overall beverage license, and that individual for MGM Springfield is Andres Gomez. Mr. Gomez is properly licensed by the Commission and in good standing. We also confirmed that Mr. Gomez held a valid and current certification from a recognized alcoholic beverage server training program. As the licensee, MGM Springfield has confirmed its understanding that it remains responsible for beverage compliance in all licensed areas, including those operated by a leased outlet. Further, MGM has represented that it maintains the authority to remove a jointly responsible person. With respect to service between the hours of 2 a.m. through 4 a.m., the renewal application seeks to include extended hours of permitted alcohol service in 2 licensed areas. These are the casino beverage service and the Knox High Limit area for video poker players only, for service to actively gaming guests only. Lastly, I'd like to note the licensee has also submitted proof of insurance of an amount that exceeds the regulatory minimum as set forth by the regulations. Next, MGM is approaching the end of another 3-year term history of compliance with our beverage regulations. For further discussion on the history of compliance matters reviewed by the IEB over its most recent renewal license period, I will now turn it over to Kathleen Kramer.
Thanks, Dave. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Today, I'll be providing a high-level overview of the non-compliance that the IEB has addressed over the last 3 years at MGM. As the Commission knows, the IEB has a 24/7 presence at the property, both through the gaming agents as well as the GEU. Over the last 3 years, the IEB has reviewed instances of possible alcohol over service, proper alcohol storage, as well as bottle service. It has also conducted verification of required signage, inspections of portable bar service, and reviewed tip certifications for employees. It has also reviewed instances of underage consuming alcohol. Any instances of non-compliance that have occurred related to alcohol are addressed in accordance with our policies and procedures. And as the Commission well knows, the IEB has different levels to address non-compliance. It starts with a notice of non-compliance form, also known as an NCF, which are issued by the gaming agents. It can then escalate to a notice of non-compliance, which comes from the Chief Enforcement Counsel's office. And then finally, a civil administrative penalty, which would also come from the Chief Enforcement Counsel's office. Over the review period for this hearing, the IEB has issued 10 NCFs to MGM. 2 of those were related to unsecured alcohol. 1 was related to an over-service incident. 2 were related to bottle service, and 5 were related to the service of underage patrons. In terms of corrective actions that the IEB sets out in the NCF, they've included refreshers of policy and procedure, retraining of employees, and on occasion, an employee receiving discipline by the operator. To date, the IEB has not issued a fine or suspension of MGM related to alcohol service. However, we are in regular communication with our team on site to monitor this important issue and determine whether there should be an appropriate response. The Chief Enforcement Counsel's office will continue to work closely with GEU, the gaming agents, MGM, and ABCC, and maintain open lines of communication. And our goal is and will continue to be compliance with respect to this matter. Thank you. Turn it back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Kathleen. As Kara previously mentioned at the opening of our presentation, MGC did perform an on-site inspection at MGM Springfield as part of this renewal process. This inspection was jointly performed by the Division of Licensing and the IEB on July 15th. Daniel Miller, Compliance Manager for MGM Springfield, and Allison Horowitz-Brown, Beverage Manager for MGM Springfield, also accompanied the MGC inspection group. Overall, the inspection confirmed the information reported by the licensee and the licensed area applications appeared consistent as described. Appropriate storage facilities and camera coverage were also observed. At this point, that concludes my presentation remarks, but in summation, we've received a completed application, performed an inspection, received cooperation and responsiveness on all matters from the licensee, and considered compliance matters as previously summarized to you by Kathleen. Therefore, the licensing division recommends the commission approve MGM Springfield's renewal beverage license for another 3-year term.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions for Ms. O'Brien, Mr. McKay, Ms. Kramer, CEC Kramer?
No questions, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Commissioner Hill is also saying no questions. I have no questions at this time. Does the petitioner have any questions for Ms. O'Brien or other members of the IEB relative to this presentation?
No questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. We will now turn to the presentation by MGM. Mr. Kim, please proceed with any comments or presentation you would like to make.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. We have no presentation other than what the MGC team has already provided. Other than to say thank you very much for a thorough investigation and examination, and we would concur and agree that with the findings by the IEB and with the gaming the licensing division, that we should that the commissioners approve a renewal of our three-year license for alcoholic service. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Do any commissioners have any questions for any of the presenters relative to the presentation, or are there any other individuals we would like to hear from?
I'm good.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Commissioner Hill, are we good? All right. I'm also good for the record. Going to kick it back to Ms. O'Brien. Do you have any questions for the, does the IEB have any questions for the licensee relative to the presentation or contents of the application in general?
We do not.
All right. Now that we've heard all the evidence in this matter, before we move to closing remarks, I would like to turn to my fellow commissioners once again to make sure there are no further sensitive or confidential issues anybody would like to explore that would benefit from closing this proceeding to the public under our regulation.
I have nothing to comment at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
Same for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. We will now turn to the closing remarks. Each party will be afforded an opportunity to make a statement summing up their position, though they need not do so. Mr. Kim, would you like to proceed with any remarks?
Chair, thank you very much. I would, as I said before, thank you very much to everybody involved here for this time and this opportunity. And I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Gomez for his for our closing remarks. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Gus. All I would like to say is, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, and the welcoming remarks from Gus. Thank you. Happy to be a part of this. Though we don't have a presentation, I do want to emphasize that myself and the property, we're deeply committed and understand really how responsible alcohol service is an integral part of responsible gaming. And because of that, we continue to make sure that it remains as a core part of our overall strategy, and we'll continue to do that. And again, thank you so much for having me, and that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. I will say, you know, I wasn't born here, but I got here as soon as I could. So we're glad you're back. Ms. O'Brien, any comments?
No further remarks, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Unless there are any further matters that the parties or my fellow commissioners would like to address, we will now conclude this portion of the proceeding.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I interrupt for one moment? We've heard from Carolyn and her team. Through you, would it be appropriate to ask if Angela or Burke have anything to say?
Well, so you actually just prompted my question.
Sorry to interrupt them.
No, no interruption. Does anybody have anything further? And what I'm hearing is Commissioner Hill would like to kick it over to either Angela or Burke.
I can make a few comments. I just want to say that working with MGM, specifically the compliance department, we have lots of communication between each other regarding any incidents with alcohol. MGM is very accommodating and quick to respond to any requests or comments we make to them during our biweekly meetings. So I appreciate that Daniel and Gus and Mr. Gomez, I welcome you back to MGM. So thank you.
I have nothing further to say. I concur with what Angela says. We have a wonderful relationship out there at MGM, and we appreciate the hard work done on both sides to continue to do all these aspects. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to you both. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Chair. I know there's a lot of thankings going on today, and I don't want to just sort of repeat what's already been said, but I think what I would just like to say is that everything that has been said already is testament to the collaboration and the relationship that we have as regulator and operator, and how we all do strive towards compliance together. This is one more example of it here today. So thank you.
Thank you. So Commissioner Hill, did you get what you needed from Burke and Angela? And I appreciate you calling them out. That's very helpful. And then I got what I needed from Mr. Miller. Commissioner Skinner, do you have anything further?
Nothing further.
Thank you, Commissioner. The commission will now deliberate about this matter in private. Commissioners, we will have to end this virtual meeting and enter the other virtual room for private deliberations. I'm going to leave that up to the tech people. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, MGM and Blue Tart. Good to see you today.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
everybody. Take care.
Thank you.